Ready.
Good evening. This is the special Seward Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Going to call it to order. Thank you. All right. So, do we have Commissioner Benoit on the telephone?
Yes.
Do we have Commissioner Kurtz on the telephone?
Tracy, Commissioner Kurtz indicated a couple minutes ago that he would be on, but a little late.
That he would what?
He's a little late, but he'll be on.
Oh, all right. Well, that gives us our quorum, so we'll go ahead and proceed. Okay. Can you take roll call, please?
Pledge of Allegiance first.
Oh, sorry. Coggy, would you like?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Furlong. Not here. Lebrecht.
Here?
Benoit.
Here.
Kurtz. Not yet. Word. Walkers.
Here.
Chair ceased.
Here.
You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is read our historic preservation meeting guidelines when attending telephonically. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many meetings are being conducted telephonically. This is a new concept for many people, and we want to make sure that the meetings are running as smoothly and efficiently as possible. In an effort to achieve these goals, I've created meeting guidelines for attending meetings telephonically. The chair will read these guidelines at the beginning of each meeting, and we would appreciate everyone's cooperation and assistance in implementing these meeting guidelines. 1. The chair will call on each commissioner individually to provide their input on each agenda item. Please wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking. Always identify yourself when you are speaking. Everyone should mute their phone when they are not speaking. Wait for one person to finish before speaking. Everyone gets a say on each agenda topic, but the chair will call each person individually by name to have their turn to speak. If you do not have a response, then say no comment. Be respectful of everyone's time and allow them the opportunity to answer any questions they have been asked without interruptions. Okay, so next is citizen comments. Do we consider Doug a citizen? Oh, all right.
But I have one from Carol Griswold that I'll read.
Thank you.
Let's see. This email is from Carol Griswold. Dear Historic Preservation Commission, I completely support retaining residential zoning of the Fifth Avenue properties in the Historic District. The land use plan is just that, a flexible plan subject to circumstances that may arise. Allowing the myriad commercial uses currently permitted on these lots is counter to the 2017 Seward Historic Preservation Plan adopted by Council. Thank you for your interest in preserving and protecting Seward's history. Sincerely, Carol Griswold, inside city limits.
Thank you, Ms. Griswold, for taking the time to submit your comments and for your support. Okay. So next is the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. We need a motion and a second. A motion to approve and a second.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any new business items
Or any changes to the agenda?
or any changes to the items that we have for discussion tonight, which is ordinance 2020-011 and the walkable murals and crosswalks?
I have one point of clarification, if this is the appropriate time. I had mentioned that I thought that discussing the walkable murals and the crosswalks in the historic district was something we should discuss at this meeting. The intent of that was following a P&Z meeting that I attended, where where we were asked as the HP Commission or recommended that we offer our input. And I was simply recommending that we discuss that tonight so that we wouldn't hold P&Z up. It's my understanding that they're fine with the timeline, not in any particular hurry. I would suggest that we have a discussion just based on what was said at that P&Z meeting and the information that's available in front of us, but that we not move together with a discussion tonight with any type of a recommendation or anything at this point in time. Because Ms. Jackie Wild indicated that she'd be doing a presentation to us on October 8th, which I was unaware of. So that would be my only discussion about that item. It's not a decision thing tonight, but rather just a report kind of on what's happened so far.
Yeah, it's simply discussion. Any other changes, additions, or other new business items? Okay, why don't we move right into
The vote?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Let's take a vote on approving the agenda and consent agenda.
Approving the agenda and consent agenda. Benoit?
Yes.
Walkers?
Yes.
Kurtz? Is he on yet? No. Lebrecht?
Yes.
Chair Cease.
Yes.
Okay, the agenda and consent agenda have been approved. There are no items on the consent agenda.
So, we're going to discuss the City Council reconsideration of Ordinance 2020-011, amending the zoning designation of lots 3, 4, 5, and north 1/2 lot 6, block 16, original town site, Seward, from multifamily residential, R3, to central business district, CB. At the last council meeting, September 14th, we presented our resolution. Actually, it had been presented before that, and then again. But I spoke, Commissioner Lebrecht spoke, Commissioner Benoit spoke, and we had letters of support, emails of support from other people, also supporting that the zoning remain as R3 multifamily residential. And that is how the council voted that night. It was 3-2 in favor of leaving it as an R3 zone. But then Mayor Christie called for a reconsideration. So this is going to come back to the council next Monday night, and they will reconsider this ordinance. So I don't think our position has changed. And I'm not quite, from what I understand, and you can correct me, Deputy Clerk Stallard, the only thing we can do is give citizen comments. There's no resolution we do or anything because the council member has called for a reconsideration of an ordinance that was already voted on.
There's no resolution on the agenda to approve, that's correct. I know Commissioner Lebrecht did have a couple of ideas of how he would like to move forward with this item though.
Okay, Commissioner Lebrecht?
I had some comments, just putting some thoughts into the meeting that was recently held, and so I'll read a little bit from those. These are my personal thoughts. I hope that they will stimulate discussion. I believe there's other commissioners who may have some discussion as well, and then I would hope that at the end of this we might have some type of statement reaffirming what we've already said. but these are my comments. So I've been thinking about recent developments since the last city council meeting on 9/14/20, where ordinance 2020-011 failed to pass city council approval, which, as you mentioned, Chair Cease, a 3-2 vote against the ordinance. This vote was pursuant to the public hearing where many citizens spoke very passionately about their opposition to the change in zoning. This included citizens of the historic part of Downtown Historical District who expressed their dismay at the consideration of this ordinance. I would like to acknowledge my appreciation also for us following a transparent public process, including this recent public hearing. We also presented our HP resolution in favor of maintaining the current zoning of this historic area, specifically our recommendation to preserve the designation of lots 3, 4, 5, and north 1/2 lot of 6 block original town site sewer from multi-family residential to central business district. As I stated in my personal comments at that meeting, the definition of preservation is the act of keeping something safe from harm or loss. Under current R3 zoning, there are limits to land uses for the area, whereas current ordinance designates just 12 uses of the current lot, and where it also defines the footprint that can exist on these lots, the R3's designation accomplishes a threat or harm to loss of the feel, the ambiance, or the historic nature of this street. One can stand in this street and note that it's one of the few remaining pockets of history, part of our historical district. In fact, it remains. Smaller, quaint homes juxtaposed against architectural wonders such as the Sweatman House, stucco buildings reminiscent of Stucco Johnson, and our history, beautiful trees and shrubs that have stood since our city's origins. A central business designation opens the possibilities up to 42 additional land use designations. That could be a bar, a food truck, a circus. Yes, that is actually listed as something that could happen with a permit. A liquor store, possibly a dispensary, or any host of possible uses. It also opens up the building with 0 lot lines, removes setbacks, and allows us to use whole lots and build anything, including cell phone towers, which are not allowed in residential use. View shed would likely be impacted as would trees, landscaping, and beauty of a quiet residential area. These notes and these thoughts are to restate what I believe is at least my position of the Seward Historic Preservation Council's objection to the enactment of Ordinance 2020-011. It is in fact our understanding that there are alternate remedies as well available should any property owner wish to build a structure that may be affected by setback protections that are in place with R3 zoning. There's no need to convert on what will likely be a permanent basis lots in a historical district to a commercial CB use. From what I understand, a owner can simply ask for a variance if they need to build something and want different setbacks. Therefore, there's no need to change the actual zoning. This is not preventing them from building. It is not clear to me why this is being brought up for reconsideration when it failed the last council meeting. As you know, the HP Commission is tasked with helping to preserve and promote structures and locations of historical significance in Seward. We take this responsibility very seriously and acknowledge that planning and zoning is also charged with finding the appropriate balance of preservation while ensuring actions are taken for the good of all Seward citizens. It's important to note that our committee is making progress and that we're working hand in hand with planning and zoning via scheduled work sessions later this year, and thank you for that. We're grateful they've offered their assistance on the zoning and enforcement aspects of our downtown historic overlay, which is currently in production, and you'll hear a little bit about that from Commissioner Benoit. That in combination with the just awarded and approved CLG signage grant are ongoing projects that help to preserve and bring to light our vibrant history. We need time and space to fully develop the overlay, to bring it into focus with our HP preservation plan, the 2017 plan as earlier mentioned. We believe that responsible development and stimulus of the Seward economy can occur in many different ways, and that includes historic tourism and preservation. I believe we need to preserve our remaining residential areas in the historical district for future generations and to fully develop our HP historic tourism and preservation ideas. The current zoning reference in 2020-11 is contrary to that aim. Whereas current designation allows for a reasonable number of non-commercial uses, CB designation is not in harmony with preservation of our historic downtown area. Economic development, by the way, can come by way of celebrating and capitalizing on our position as one of the most treasured communities in Alaska history. Ecotourism and historic tourism have economic significance. I said I would leave you with this from City Code, outright allowed in a CB district. Again, as we mentioned, an amusement or recreation facility, more benign things like an art gallery, but you can't have assemblages, temporary large items like a circus with a permit, You can have an auditorium. You can have business, marine sales and service, business and packaged liquor stores, business, retail sales and service, community civic centers, marine centers, senior and teen centers, child care and license centers, child care licensed home, church, clinic and medical, clubs, communications, commercial satellite dishes, towers, poles, and antennas up to 75 feet in height. You can also get with a conditional permit a correctional prisoner facility right there on that street. You can get a dock or a passenger dock. With a conditional permit, you can get a drinking establishment, nightclub, or lounge, a drive-in facility, fast food, banking, etc., a dwelling for apartments and commercial building, dwelling in apartment with a conditional permit. You can also have an additional host of things, including public fire, ambulance, and rescue, not a bad thing, but maybe not in that space. Financial institutions such as banks, groceries and convenience stores, groceries, supermarkets, health clubs. You can also have as a permit, obviously, a housing rental on a nightly basis, which we're not against. There's certainly a lot of those in even our historic districts. We have laundry and dry cleaning, library, livestock, chicken, and rabbits with a permit. We can have lodging, multifamily apartments, of course, merchant and transit, mobile medical unit. You can have mobile vendors with a permit. You can have a funeral home. You can have a museum, an office, boat, charter, or guide, office, business, or professional, office, government, quasi-government, administration, office, home, professional, parking lots, personal services, and the list goes on. I have 2 or 3 more pages. I will not take you through those. So I would simply like to say that I think we should reinforce the resolution which we've already put out, where we're stating our support for the failure, or not for the failure, but our support for the preservation, rather, of the current R3 zoning as opposed to going to CB. I believe that the people have spoken, the commission has spoken, and we implore the council, I at least implore the council, this is unofficial until we decide something together, to uphold their decision from 9/14, whereas this ordinance failed to pass. As previously mentioned, there are alternate remedies available to landowners who wish to pursue development in this historic area. It is unnecessary and, in my opinion, frivolous to consider this change. Respectfully, Tanya LeBrecq.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBrecq. I would just like to add another thing that could go in there as a pot shop. Commissioner Benoit, do you have any comments?
Yes, actually, I have 2 different things I wanted to mention. One is that I was out walking the other day and I happened to run into one of the tenants that was across the street from where the applicant has requested the rezoning. And the tenant lived in Michael O'Connor's house. And I happened to know her. I just asked what if she was aware of this and what she thought about what was happening. And she did mention to me that she wasn't opposed to, like a cell phone tower being across the street or anything like that, but she was opposed to it being rezoned to CB. And her concerns were mainly because she did not want to rezone and she did not want her taxes to go up. She did say she had talked to Michael O'Connor about this and she had permission to speak for him. So I encouraged her to, submit her comments to our commission or to the city council. She sounded like she wasn't really interested in doing that, but she was going to talk to the applicant. But I'm just bringing it up because I don't think we had heard from the people who live across the street from this potential rezoning, so I just wanted to pass that on. The second thing that I wanted to say was that I completed a draft downtown historic district design standards and guidelines document last week, and I delivered it to Sue Ward for review last Friday. So this document is kind of a guiding document to help implement the 2017 Historic Preservation Plan. Our plan is based on the Juneau Downtown Historic district design standards and guidelines. So after Sue's review, which is expecting to be today, and some updates, we hope to work with planning and zoning to collaborate on specific guidelines for stewards. So the plan and the collaborative work to come will be a great help in providing more guidance for things like zoning changes and cell phone towers and sidewalk murals and other items of concern or interest in the downtown historic district. I hope that we will be given a chance to collaboratively work with some of these things to meet the goals listed both in the historic plan and also the city comprehensive plan before allowing changes to occur that can forever harm the historic character of parts of the downtown historic district to benefit a few individuals. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. I had spoken with Michael O'Connor myself, so that's great that you were able to get a hold of a tenant and that they called Michael O'Connor and received permission for them to make a comment on his behalf. Commissioner Wolkers, do you have any comments?
No, I'm strongly in support of keeping them R3 in multifamily.
Thank you. So I've reviewed the planning and zoning meetings and plans that began last summer. Ms. Casagranda has put a lot of time into this, but what I did not see was any reference to the 2017 Seward Historic Preservation Plan. So that's concerning. And to follow up or add to what Commissioner Benoit just shared about the downtown historic overlay, I spoke with Commissioner Ward yesterday. Let me just catch everyone up. Things are not good for her husband. They went over for chemo treatment and he was immediately sent to emergency. So her plan was to get her part of the work done this week. But we may have to step in and help her. However, what I think is good here is that Commissioner Benoit, when we go before the council, not wavering in supporting this property as is at R3, in bringing up the historic preservation plan and historic overlay, we actually can bring that forward to a current date. I mean, we have, it's a present working. It's not something that's, that we've talked about doing and we just haven't gotten around to doing it, or it's been 6 months or whatever. So, Commissioner Lebrecht, do you have anything, has anything come into your mind with the additional thoughts?
I wanted to ask the question of whether, so the notes from whatever, perhaps what I've said, Commissioner Benoit said, and Commissioner C. Sullivan said, can those notes be shared with the council so they know in advance of the meeting? Because from my understanding, it's not a public hearing, but it is just, there are citizen comments. So I'm happy to restate, which I probably will, exactly what I stated tonight. But my understanding is that we can make a commission comment, which I think should come from you that night. And then aside from that, we can make citizen comments. I plan on making citizen comments, something to that effect. But we could have somewhat of a strongly stated opinion that something to the effect that we presented something which in fact was not voted in, and that we have not changed our resolve, and these are the reasons why. So I'm not sure what that takes as far as an official statement, or if it's just comments at the next meeting.
Either one. So you could do just citizen comments at the next meeting, or you could come up with a statement tonight to have me email to council on your behalf.
As a commission?
As a commission, yes.
Okay. Tony, can you make quick work of something
give me
you've
a
got
couple
there?
minutes, sir.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah.
And Deputy Clerk Stoller, so I present this, and then am I still allowed then to also speak as a citizen, or is it one to t'other?
So the way I envision this is whatever y'all send me, I'm gonna email to council.
All right.
To all of them, and then you can still speak as a citizen
Okay.
at the council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
This is Commissioner Benoit. I wasn't sure, just the statement that I read about the, completing the draft of this historic, district design standards and guidelines. And that we are in the process of working on this right now and trying to, just getting started to work collaboratively with planning and zoning. And this is our opportunity to work together to discuss and come up with solutions for things like this.
Yes,
Since we're just at this point, I
yes,
think that having a statement about that would be helpful to provide to the city council. Like I could email the statement I read to you this evening, and you could incorporate that in your, whatever you're going to develop to take into city council.
okay, that would be good. So, that though will probably have to come from you as a citizen, because whatever we're doing here tonight as a commission, we have to have here tonight as a commission so that Jessica has it to submit to council. And then,
Okay.
And
Right,
then-
Make sure I understand, like the statement I read was basically about work that the commission is doing, so I wasn't really sure if that's something I could be, using as, a statement from a private citizen, because it's about our commission work.
Jessica's thinking.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I'm thinking and hoping that Commissioner LeBrecht is taking some of what you're saying into his writing.
Commissioner Benoit, the other thing that Sue shared was that she thought the next step would be to get with Stefan in building. And then community development and planning and zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner LeBrecht is coming up with a statement for the commission to vote on whether or not to email council. Commissioner Benoit, you could always request an amendment to include the statement that you want to have included in there as well.
That would be great.
Perfect.
That would be great.
That's perfect.
Would you, I can just email this to whoever right now, if that's helpful.
So we go to Jessica.
Okay,
Do-
I'll email that to Jessica right now.
Okay, does she need to note that it's, and, what did you say? An amendment?
But she's gonna have to make the amendment on the recording as well.
Okay, all right. So then, Commissioner Benoit, what you're going to do, in addition to emailing that statement to Deputy Clerk Stollard, you're going to want to repeat it or read it, and then you can make the amendment then? Okay.
Can we potentially give me a couple minutes to do that? Can we move on to our other items, or?
Generally, it goes within the same order.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving back and forth on it.
Did that make sense to you, Commissioner Benoit?
I'm not sure I really understand, but basically you would like me to read my statement and then say that I would like to make an amendment to what Commissioner LeBrecq is putting together to add this.
Or you could do it as two separate motions as well, two separate statements, if she's ready to do it now.
Are you ready to do your statement now?
I could, sure.
Okay, why don't we do that? And then you will have your statement as a standalone statement. And then what we do with Tongi's information will be another statement. So, if you're ready, if you can read clearly for us.
Okay, I'm ready, and my statement is, I completed a draft downtown historic district design standards and guidelines document last week and delivered to Sue Ward for review on Friday. It is the guiding document to help implement the 2017 Historic Preservation Plan. It is based on the Juneau Downtown Historic District Design Standards and Guidelines. After Sue's review and some updates, we hope to work with planning and zoning to collaborate on specific guidelines for stewards. This plan and the collaborative work to come will be a great help in providing more guidance for things like zoning changes, cell phone towers, sidewalk murals, and other items of concern or interest in the downtown historic district. I hope that we will be given a chance to collaboratively work with some of these things to meet the goals listed in the historic plan and the city comprehensive plan before allowing changes to occur that could forever harm the historic character of parts of the downtown historic district to benefit a few individuals.
So the motion is that you're directing the clerk to send that statement to council, correct?
Yes.
And then you need a second.
We need only a second? We don't need a first?
She just made the motion,
Okay.
she is the first.
We need a second, guys.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBrecq. Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. That was very well done.
So then voting on sending Commissioner Benoit's statement to council. LeBrecq,
Yes.
Walkers,
Yes.
Furlong is not here, Kurt's not here, Benoit,
Yes.
Chair Cease.
Yes.
This motion has been approved.
Thank you. I will send that to you, Jessica, here in a minute.
Okay.
And so anything in addition that we might like to say as a citizen can be said that evening. All right.
Yeah, there's not going to be a public hearing on it this time. It's just during citizen comments.
And correct me if I'm wrong, a citizen comment is 3 minutes, testimony is 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I handed Tongi back his notes with brackets because his final paragraph sums up or completes where we stand as a commission and what we want the council to know.
All right. So the Historic Preservation Commission would like to propose that we'd like to restate again our support for the maintenance of the current multifamily R3 zoning for lots 3, 4, 5, and north 1/2 lot. Block 16, the original town site Seward.
Would it be simpler to just give her that?
Good. Hold on. The people, we believe the people have spoken. The commission has spoken. And we implore the council to uphold their decision from 9/14, whereupon this ordinance failed to pass. As previously mentioned, there are alternate remedies available to those landowners who wish to pursue development in this historic area. It is unnecessary and frivolous to consider this change.
And that is the commission's statement.
So directing the clerk to send the following statement to council.
And
Upholding
he's
our
got a
previous
print,
resolution.
Deputy Clerk Stellar, he's got a printout of this, if that will help you.
I'll send it.
Okay, he's gonna take care of it with you.
Okay. So he just made the motion, so you need a second.
A second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkers. Commissioner Kurtz, are you by chance on the line?
Idiot technical.
Oh. Okay. Are there, I guess we're gonna vote.
So directing the clerk to send LeBrec's statement to council on behalf of the commission. Benoit,
Yeah.
LeBrec,
Yes.
Walkers,
Yes.
Chair Cease.
Yes.
This motion has been approved.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. All right. On to our next item. We are discussing the walkable murals in crosswalks in the historic district. And before we get into this, you will find information on this in your packet, by the way. That was something that both Mary Ann and Jessica put together for us, and probably planning and zoning. I do want to publicly thank planning and zoning on behalf of the Seward Preservation or Seward Historic Preservation Commission for inviting us into the ideas around these walkable murals in crosswalks. We really appreciate that. All right, so as Jackie Wild will be giving a presentation on October 8th. This is not a time for any decisions. This is only a time where we're going to discuss, and you know, if we have ideas about what we would want to put historically in a crosswalk, that kind of thing we can discuss. And Jackie is open to receiving questions from us prior to her presentation that she could answer. And having it ahead of time would be helpful. So, Tangi, you're the one that listened to this. You were at the meeting. I listened to it today. So, why don't you open us up?
Sure. So Chair Cease, from my understanding of the project, I think it's intended, much like the signage and everything else that we're doing, to just continue to give Seward some identity, if you will. Ms. Wild did share with me and with the group at that time that they were very careful and cautious as to where they would be looking at specific crosswalk locations, and also very specific about what would be allowed. And it looks like from the maps that we have a port crosswalk location. That's on the first map. The second one is at a harbor crosswalk location. There are two different ones there. And then there is also additionally, when you do get to downtown, you have one location, which is at Jefferson and 4th, which is in consideration and proposed. But she was clear with me that they tried very clearly to stay out of the historical district for the most part. She also did bring up, I was happy to see again that we were included in the conversation, and that Ms. Wild did state to the Planning and Zoning Commission that she'd like historic preservation to be able to input previous to anything moving forward. She did share with me that they were not in any major hurry. I actually suggested we talk about this tonight since we were having a meeting anyways, with the thought process being that we not hold up P&Z from their deliberations. She said they're not in any particular hurry and they have plenty of time to get this done, and that she'd really like to make this presentation to us on October 8th, which will differ somewhat from what we have here. It will be much more developed, but she did appreciate the fact that we were going to have some general discussion of what this might look like. There is some really specific detail. There was a good hour plus spent on this discussion, mostly a presentation by Jackie Wild, and it is very specific on the application as to what you can do. You can't really do something that will be distracting or will obstruct the solid white vertical lines or will get people confused or make them walk across it or have a wreck or whatever it is. It's intended to be artistic and to be an expression of our community, but it's not intended in any way, shape, or form to look like a traffic sign. No octagons or triangles, logos, text, or advertising. It's very specific as to what colors that you could do, so it's not confused as a traffic design as well. And it must be at one of the approved locations where there's already a marked crosswalk to stop. And there's just some real specifics which I will let her really comment on. She did also say that we might have some interest in having something of a historical designation that might be attractive and complement our sign project or complement our overall preservation of the downtown district. So I appreciate the fact that she pushed that through for us. And again, I think I surprised her by saying we're going to talk about it tonight because she was going to make this presentation in October. But I was enthused by the enthusiasm that P&Z had by the fact that they were including us. So that's what I got from that meeting.
Before I go on with things I heard, I would like to add that P&Z Chair Cindy Eklund, I think, is a little more interested in not waiting forever on this. I think they would probably like our input, like maybe at one of their October meetings, probably the latter one, rather than waiting until November. But that's not required because Jackie covered that. Okay, so I have to be careful here and talk like, you know, Historic Preservation Commissioner and not personally. But let me just say personally, I like the fact that there's a lot of thought going into this. For instance, I was listening to this and I wondered, okay, so who's going to pay for this? And is our maintenance department now going to have to take care of this? You know, so that was good that they've got that covered. And I think it's exciting. I think it's very interesting. I'm not sure because I'm a visual person, so I haven't like gotten a picture in my head of how this is going to work. Either, you know, walking or driving and coming up to it. I know that there's a lot of talk about a stop sign having to be there if you're going to have a design within these. And I was a little concerned that if we're adding stop signs over town, that might be a problem in the summer.
You can suspend the rules to talk to the Public Works Director if you have questions.
I love this.
Oh, I am allowed to do that, because I was looking at him.
Here it's staff, that's staff, there's no other staff.
Okay.
As staff, you're allowed to sit at the dais if you want.
I just didn't know how many members were coming, I didn't want to take a seat up there.
Oh,
Join
yeah, you
us.
can. My goodness. We're honored to have you here.
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I would.
Staff, you don't have to suspend the rules anymore now.
Oh, okay. Did you just hear what she said?
You don't have to suspend the rules.
Because you're staff, we can treat you any way we
Right,
want.
right. I just didn't know if you had more members, and I know with our COVID rules, I just didn't want
Right,
to crowd up here
right.
and not get it. But I just came to answer questions and kind of go through and know, nobody can add a stop sign. That has to be done through the city, and we do it through certain safety measures. So we don't add a stop sign so we can have a crosswalk. That can't happen.
Thank you.
On a crosswalk, and I think the reason for historic preservation really to be able to see it, this was originally just a single crosswalk. It was proposed, it was a rainbow crosswalk by the Pride Group. Then it has mushroomed now into this walkable murals, okay? So, but that was proposed as a downtown right here at 4th and Washington. So that's where it was originally proposed. There is interest in doing some crosswalks like that downtown, wherever it might be. Planning and zoning is working through a permit, trying to make it through. They have identified those spots, but that council can do whatever they want to do. If council is convinced that it's okay to put them anywhere else, they can. But those are the suggested spots by planning and zoning. So as far as the crosswalks, the idea is to have, you already have a traffic control with a stop sign. And those are parallel crosswalks, right? So the parallel crosswalks, that's the ones that we would like to say that those are more okay to paint because you actually have to stop there anyway. Because there's a stop sign. The other ones now are all the piano key, if you will. You can just see them visually, further, better, and there are places where people have been able to paint in between. That's kind of what planning and zoning is going through, is how to make this application, how to make it work for the applicant and future applicants of how they want to do it, or if they want to do it. Will it hold up? You know, they've pretty much put that in their budget that they're gonna freshen it up every year type of thing, so. And it's not without a high cost to them. So
I was glad to see that.
whatever group does that, there's some cost to do it for them, just in the paint and getting things in there ready to go. So it's just something that it's a good idea for Historic Commission to know if it's going to be approved, or if we want, if you as Historic Preservation wants to be involved with that, what would that look like in the historic district? Is it, hey, we're open to any, or is it, hey, we would like to have only something that's historically significant, or whatever that may be, at least you have a chance to comment, because especially after the council meeting with the zoning thing, the Historic Commission really spoke up. And hey, this is what we want for this residential. Well, that's the same thing for these walkable murals. As you get, and say the first one is wherever it is up, or one of these identified that they've tried to go through, you can kind of see what it is, right? And see how that works. But like I said, even the first one, the council can approve it to be right here. It could be in a different spot. So that's just why historic district, this is the district. So what do you want to see? What would you like as historic district? To at least have input, so everybody's getting their input of how to do these, and if we're doing them, how to do them right. So that's all I guess, unless you have other questions.
Thank you so much. I would absolutely like the Historic Commission to come up with ideas for both the crosswalks between Washington and Adams on 4th, because that is an absolute historic district. And I don't think any agenda things or whatever should go there. I think that we are a historic town. So it's my opinion only, as a commissioner, that,
Might be a great place to push them towards a historical district. So, something to discuss.
So that's the discussion, why you have a discussion, and so you guys do have at least a a say if you want it. You know, if you want to put your 2 cents into it, here's what we would like as Historic Commission, and at least council knows that also. And you can kind of make those things happen and help to develop some of that stuff. So it's just better to get the input up front than to do something and then have a fight about it. I'd rather get everybody in agreement and see what we're going to do, and you know, whatever we're doing, let's make it right. And for me as city, as Public Works, we're just painting the white lines, and they got to stay there so you can paint between them. But that's where we're at. Ours are reflective paint, and more and more some have faded, and they fade fairly quick. But some of them do pretty good. But the idea is to try to, none of the other paint can be reflective. It's a traffic area, and so that's listed in the application too. So those are just things to. There's good information in that planning and zoning packet to look at, and then for Historic Commission to Preservation to just see what they want to do. And if you didn't want to input, you don't have to. But it's up to you guys to, if you want to know about it, now's the time to at least speak up.
Doug, would you please communicate our great thanks to Planning and Zoning for including us in this?
Sure.
It's wonderful to be made aware and invited into a process, as you say, before something is, you know, already, you know, voted on, approved, and, you know, and then we have to go in after the fact. Commissioner Wolkers, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment on the downtown air photo. There's 3 spots that they have circled that they're thinking of probably potential mural areas. And down at the pavilion where Adams meets
Belaine?
7th, is that Belaine there?
Yeah,
Okay.
but 7th, yeah.
Yeah. They look like they want to have a crosswalk and a mural there, crossing people coming down Adams from downtown to cross over to the pavilion and the playground, and the bathrooms were there. So that's a good spot for a crosswalk.
There's
And
one,
the tourists all go there, so, and the recreation crowd. It's a good spot for a mural. Well, 1 block up is the museum. And I would support or recommend that they put a crosswalk across 6th Avenue along Adams, and then across Adams over to the other side, so people accessing the museum would be seeing some murals and also have a crosswalk. There's none there now. There's a stop sign there. I think it's stop signs all directions, but as a historic commissioner, and it is in our commission, that crosswalk would definitely enhance and help the historic value, because they're heading to the museum.
that's true.
You know, that's all the comment I got.
Well, I love your comment on 7th Avenue, which I believe that there is a crosswalk right there at Adams, right? Got it?
Well, I don't see it on this, but it's probably one there.
This is from Google, so it doesn't have any of the paint for the last several years out there. That
Okay.
one though, being that it's on 7th, doesn't have a stop sign on 7th, so
Right.
it'd be a piano key one going across.
Right, or,
That's our regulations, that for visibility, if you don't have a traffic control of the stop sign, then we need to do
The
the piano
piano,
key,
right.
the dashed
right.
lines across.
But we
Now,
could, there is a stop sign at the end of Adams before you go on to Belaine.
Sure.
That crosswalk could be made into, or utilized as a mural. Possibly.
It could be. And you'll see, there's a lot of, that does have a lot of traffic there. Most aren't crossing back and forth, they're crossing 7th, but they come up and they just kind of, you know how it goes, especially in the summer, they're all over the place.
Yep.
That was something we did, just do a kitty corner. Here's actually add the sidewalk along the annex building, so they don't come up from the library, walk out in the street around the cars. So now they actually have a clear path to go. But I just want to be careful from a public works end when we have these spots and say by the library right now, if it's not a painted crosswalk and there is a stop sign there, could we paint one there? Yes, we could. There's not any sidewalk beyond on the north side, so you're kind of just putting it into the gravel. You know, you come across the street into the gravel. But the other thing I want to be cautious of is we put a bunch of these in. Remember, we have to pay for those and maintain them and keep them painted every year. And so when we get to those, I mean, it's an undertaking every spring. And boy, we fight that rain and we get out and paint and paint and paint and paint, trying to get those things done. We're out at 4 in the morning trying to catch that weather and rain to get them done. So 1 or 2 probably doesn't make a difference. But if we start getting 6, 7, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
now it makes a whole nother budget item that we're trying to take care of when we go through those. So just, I think just be cautious, but yeah, pick and choose and, you know, where do you have them, where can we make something different?
My response, Commissioner Wilkers, would be that around the library would either be Resurrection Bay Historical Society or the Friends of the Library. These are $1,500. It's $1,500 just for the application. And then you have to sign a 3-year maintenance agreement. You have to be responsible for the maintenance. It's not, you know, City Works it's not their responsibility to take it on. So our commission, we can't absorb that kind of money.
Are you talking about murals?
Yes?
Yeah, and now the murals that are painted on the street, would that still fall into that library permit thing?
Well, it wouldn't matter.
Okay,
It's the cost.
yeah.
It's the cost I'm concerned about. Our commission doesn't have that kind of money. So in my opinion, and you guys can all disagree, it makes more sense for us to concentrate on 4th Avenue between Washington and Adams, and maybe one other place. But it doesn't mean that we have to. Would we be allowed, Doug? Let's say we could afford to do 1 crosswalk, but we couldn't afford to do 2. Would we be able to protect the other one for future application? Or would we have to, you know, have that all?
That's a good discussion for when you meet with planning and zoning of how to do that.
Because the other request at crosswalk, so.
Right. I mean, you can request those, and what if someone else requests also, and you know, how long could you hold it, and all those things. So I think it's gonna be, P&Z is doing the actual permits. They go through them, vet them, you know, if they meet those requirements, it's pretty, the requirements can be, though, it has to be historic, or however you wanna see it, that's what you wanna put out. If you wanna see historic type murals only in this historic district, fine. If you wanna see stripes, red, white, and blue stripes, okay, or rainbow, or whatever it might be, that's okay. You guys have to decide what's okay. What would your preference be, and then as a advisory to council, you give your say of what this is what we want, this is what we had passed in our meeting, and this is how we would like to see that laid out. And so those are things that, you know, just like you're talking here, some of it you're just thinking out. So you think about it, meet with P&Z, they have great folks there working on that commission too, and I think you guys could come up with, you know, a workable way to make things happen. You know, how do you do those, or can you reserve or not? Because, you know, somebody else may be ready and they may want to do something, and if they meet similar historic content, it might be a good win-win. So those are just things to work out as you meet with P&Z.
And when I spoke to Jackie on Friday, she did say that she would invite the Historic Preservation Commission to Planning and Zoning's next work session on this topic as well.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Doug. Commissioner Benoit, do you have any comments or questions for Doug?
Yes, I do. Hey, Doug.
Hello.
Let's see. So I actually thought about the walkable mural in the downtown historic district as, you know, private citizen and artist, and somebody who loves color. I love the idea of having murals all over the place, but as a historic preservation commissioner, I have some different thoughts about what ideas for what we could do or not do in historic districts. So right now, like I said, we're working on our downtown historic design standards and guidelines that are kind of like a document that helps us implement the 2017 historic preservation plan. And so our document that I've been working on is a draft right now. It's based on the Juneau Downtown Historic District. So I looked up just to see what they said in that plan about sidewalks. And I didn't look at anything related to murals, but the sidewalks. And so basically, what's in our current plan right now, not that it can't be changed, is basically saying doing like a mural on a sidewalk in the historic district is not appropriate. So, there's guidelines already about sidewalks, which are, you can see in the attachment in our packet. And so I read through that and then I thought, okay, well, I wonder what other places are doing that have historic districts. So I started trying to do a little research today. And I did find a document that had a lot of detail in Michigan that the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office was working with the city in Michigan and had, a lot of detail about similar types of things. And basically, I've got notes on all that, but it doesn't sound like the kind of thing you would want to do in the historic district. And as far as I can tell, the only crosswalk that you had circled in your areas for consideration that's actually in the historic district is the one that's on 4th and Jefferson.
Yep.
But all the other ones are outside of that. So my concern would be to be that specific one. And so I think basically from what I've seen so far, we should be considerate and take a look at what other places are doing and really thoughtful about what we would want to do. And I think it's probably also a good idea to maybe talk to our own state historic preservation office, because they probably have some great information they can tell us about doing this type of thing and advice. So before we, decide, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, that'd be really cool, which is, do some research, check it out, see what the options are that other people have done. And the only other thought I had was I was looking at the current application, and I see, you have these steps of how to apply. And just the thought would be, maybe you could add a step 5 that says, have the Historic Preservation Commission review it. And so we can make sure, to be able to check on whatever permits come in and see if they're in the historic district or any ideas we might be able to contribute to help with that. And those, I think, are all my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. Sorry?
I just, there wasn't a question in there other than basically can they put number 5 on, so that'd be a planning and zoning thing. And just wanted to make sure with Marianne, and just as it's been talked about here, that we don't confuse sidewalks and crosswalks. This page in here says sidewalks on the top, which this is crosswalks we're talking about. So I just want that, to be clarified. Nobody's talking about any sidewalks, it's only the crosswalks. So, and the walkable murals that the subject is, even though this flyer says sidewalks, that's not what it's about, it's crosswalks only.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, Commissioner Benoit. A thought about adding to the form something about this, this mural in a crosswalk can't be in the historic overlay or district. If you listen to, which I recommend all our commissioners before Jackie joins us, if you listen to the last P&Z meeting, they go over, in fact, it's the first thing they go over, are these crosswalk murals. And they really are going to a lot of detail. And in that meeting, Jackie Wild talks about part of this process is going to be creating code guidelines for what is okay and what isn't okay, so everybody has a point of reference. And that will be great. And that would be an opportunity for the Historic Preservation Commission to be a part of that, to at least request, to at least give that kind of input. So, I think that's a really good option. Do we have other comments, commissioners?
I just have a comment that I really appreciate planning and zoning and Jackie thinking of us, including us in the process, and really look forward to working together on a whole variety of things.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. Commissioner Wilkers,
Yes?
did you have any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. And you don't? Commissioner LeVert, oh, okay, you changed your mind.
No, I have one question, and that was that, can we include, so our City of Seward, our Resolution 2020-04, which was our asking to maintain the current zoning, can we re-include that in this packet as a laydown or as a comment or something, so that it can be resurfaced for anyone who might not have seen it last meeting?
For our meeting or for council's?
For council's meeting, can 2020-04 go up again in the packet?
You can present it during citizen comments, like I believe you
Or
did
can-
last time. It's already in legislative history and available.
Or
to
in the
public.
comment that we're making, that I wrote and that we're sending, can we just attach it?
Yeah.
So can we attach
As
that in
long
the
as
comment you're
the
sending out?
commission approves.
Approving resending out, so in the comments that we're making.
Including it with the statement,
Including it with the statement?
yes.
As long
Do
as
you
the
agree?
commissioners approve.
Commissioner Benoit, do you agree?
Could you repeat that last?
Yes. Okay, so we've already voted in our statement as a commission that we want presented to the council, read to the council. You've done yours standalone. Now, Commissioner LeBrecq has requested, and I agree, and Commissioner Wilkers agrees, attaching the resolution you wrote where we support the zoning as is currently. He's suggesting that we attach that resolution to the email that we are submitting as the commission.
Okay, I support that.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second?
No, you're good.
Oh, we're good, okay, great. And we don't need to vote?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so, do we have any citizens that would want to comment?
I did not receive any citizen comments, no.
Okay. I would like to make an open comment to citizens. If you're out there and you're watching us and you have ideas on what you'd like to see historically in mural crosswalks, please join us at our next meeting, October 8th, where Community Development, Jackie Wild, will be giving a presentation. And you can be a part of our our search for ideas that we come up with. We'd love to have your input. Now, we have commission comments and administration comments. Commissioner Benoit.
I just want to say thanks to everybody for all your hard work, and I really appreciate Doug coming and giving us information to help us with our discussion. And I appreciate Carol Griswold for all these, coming forward and taking the time to do for citizen comments. And appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. Commissioner Lebrecq.
I appreciate all the work that everyone is doing. I feel like our voices are being multiplied by the good work being done by commissioners. Thank you, Doug, for coming. Thank you, Deputy Clerk Steller, for being here. Extra overtime for us. Thank you, Chair, for leading us. Thank you, Commissioner Wilkers and my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Benoit, all of us who are working on these things. I know we're all very passionate about it, and like I said, I think that the public is noticing, and hopefully the council is listening to us as well too. And I love seeing the collaboratives that's happening with PNZ, and that we're getting there, and I think we're all doing this because we love it, so I'm glad to be part of it.
Commissioner Wilkers.
Yeah, it's good to see you all and hear you all here tonight.
Thank you. Doug,
No comments?
last name?
Chesler?
Chesler.
Yep.
Doug Chesler. Thank you so much for taking time and coming and joining us in our meeting, educating us, correcting some ideas that aren't right, and pointing us in a more accurate direction. And it's really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So, thank you. And of course, I thank Commissioner Lebrecq. He's done some overtime on behalf of the commission, some research, and he has himself been attending the planning and zoning meetings, and that's been kind of exciting. Commissioner Benoit, you've been working overtime, and we really appreciate that. And Commissioner Wilkers, we appreciate so much that you are here. We know that our last meeting you weren't feeling too good, and it's been a little rocky for you, so we're really glad you're here.
Thank you.
And thank you, yes, Deputy Clerk Stollard, for coming in after hours for a special meeting. And for any public that's watching, thank you for your interest and your support. And with that, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 7:19.